What are some guy secrets girls don't know about? Sometimes we don't talk to people because we don't want to intimidate them. I might see a girl with a cool shirt on, but I don't want to make her think I'm coming on to her or something. Rather than freak her out that a 6'6" guy thinks she looks good today, I just leave her alone. Especially if we're on an elevator or something where she can't leave if she actually is uncomfortable. If you compliment my appearance, I will probably remember forever. I still remember when a girl in college told me I looked nice with my beard when I first grew it out. I've had a beard ever since. Men want to be wanted and desired too. I can count the number of times a woman has come out and either asked me out or told me she was attracted to me on one hand. And from my understanding, that is a high number. We don't miss hints because we are dense or stupid. We miss them because we have learned the hard way that sometimes it's just a friendly compliment or some such. That embarrassment sticks with you. If you've ever looked at a dude and though, wow, he's attractive, I'd like to go out with him, go talk to him. Men love confident women, and even if he doesn't reciprocate, you will make his day, or maybe even his year. Not sure if this is universal, but guys usually have least one pastime for which the process and ritual is just as satisfying, if not more so, than the outcome. One example is my morning espresso. If I'm making it, being interrupted or rushed is very disruptive, to the point where I'd rather not have started it. For others, it may be washing the car, barbecue, or shaving. But try to mind when guys are doing something where the means are and end in and of themselves. Being able to fully invest in these gratifying rituals is fulfilling to a surprising degree. Guys have damn near zero ability to hold a grudge if an apology is genuinely offered and accepted. Hell, most guys have a great friend in their lives that started out with some shitty misunderstanding but worked itself out. Women can nurse a grudge in ways most men cannot fathom. When we come home from work, we could use some downtime to do nothing. The car ride home does not count. Give us 20, 30 minutes without unloading. This may be true for everyone, but having a moment to just be dormant on your couch or in front of the TV lets our body and brain say, work is over, and you can put it behind you. If we have a goofy hobby and you take interest in it, even the slightest, we love it. I'm a big gamer, and my wife, who also games but not the same ones I play, will often watch what I'm doing, ask about the game, and generally take an interest. Her saying, "Oh, are you looking forward to Anthem?" is really cool, and I appreciate her interest. It's be so easy for her to pay no attention, and her doing so makes a big difference. Not knowing sucks. I learned not to blow up a girl's phone, so I don't send more than one, maybe two messages. Being left on read and thinking about what exactly it was that I fucked up to not get a response really sucks. Having to play it cool when I like someone to not scare her off too. If you want something, just ask us. We are task-orientated. Saying, "I'm cold," won't always register to us as, "I need a blanket, can you get me one?" And if you're mad at us for something, just tell us, and we will probably stop doing that thing if it's realistic. Don't just fester in your anger for days and wonder why we don't care. We do. We just have no idea what you want us to do. Men can have eating disorders and body positivity issues too. I've struggled for years, and yet the few people that I do open up to about it just write it off as a phase or just forgetting to eat once in a while. But when girls come forward with the same issue, it's immediately addressed as a serious matter. And when the issue is talked about on a larger scale, men are rarely, if ever, included. Men have just as many issues with mental health, depression, anxiety, body issues. Please recognize this. I hate living in a world where it's not socially acceptable for men to talk about these things. A lot of guys would talk about their experiences and issues, but don't feel like they can. I feel like we just sort of ignore the issue, and guys that have mental health issues are sort of looked down upon because men are all supposed to be outgoing and confident. Maybe you have a guy friend who doesn't get out a lot. Maybe he's acting strange or isn't totally there. This might be why. Cuddling with any girl, hell, some guys too, with whom we're close is the best shit ever. Even if it's not a person you're interested in, it just feels great. I feel safe, loved, and important whenever that happens. We feel a great social pressure to be strong, less emotional, carry others, make money. A lot of times we don't know how to, and we're scared. But we know we're not supposed to be, and we know we're not supposed to ask for help. So we get stressed and angry. We're rarely, if ever, complimented and largely taken for granted. A majority of us have shit luck on online dating or just dating. A lot of us are largely depressed or cynical about life. Very few of us have randomly nice things happen for us during our day. Men struggle with finding friends and friendship when they get older. Loneliness, acceptance, self-acceptance, and a lack of those three are some of the driving motivators for a lot of actions men do. IDK if it's a common thing, but every time a girl talks to me, I imagine being married to her and shit like that. Then after a bit of daydreaming, come back to reality and tell myself, yeah, sure, never gonna happen, and go back to being sad and alone again. The bro code isn't a made-up thing. It's actually a highly classified international set of rules set by the United Nations. Officially, it's called the Laws and Regulations for Male Relations, Behavior, and Interactions, but pretty much everyone shortens it to bro code. A booklet is mandated to be given to every birthed male when they reach the age of 4. Only men know about this, and failure to keep it in secret will result in, we often get those passive hints you drop but ignore them because of how we are socialized. Men tell men what they want. If you don't directly ask, we assume it's optional. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, it just is. If you want something, ask for it. We'll often do whatever you like, especially if we like you. When you ask what are we thinking about and we say nothing, we really mean it. Never underestimate a guy's ability to not being thinking about stuff at all times. We aren't always up for doing stuff together. It doesn't mean we don't care about you, wage marriage, the relationship. A lot of our hobbies that us men typically do, you will notice, revolve around being alone, focusing on something and getting the task done. It makes us feel fulfilled, productive, and proud. We also aren't so entrapped by society when it comes to being social. In other words, just because Fred or Clive isn't posting on Instagram about being out and about, people don't assume they're lonely Billy No-Mates types. Because we can so comfortably be alone with our thoughts, sometimes it really takes a great deal or empathy and understanding on our part to appreciate that you might not also have hobbies you can do alone. Where I can open my laptop and start playing video games, my girlfriend doesn't have that node for instant gratification. When you say you're bored, please help us to better comprehend what you mean by contextualizing what is causing you boredom. Sometimes we don't realize we are being selfish and making you feel lonely when all we want to do on a Saturday is slob about. We love you, our partners, dearly, but we're not always great at empathy because of a lifetime of being told to suck it up. When guys are playing video games, we are oftentimes playing with people we develop deep friendships with the people we play with all the time. For example, I've never met my best friend in person, however our parents know the other by name. I wrote him a letter when he was in basic, his sister gave me the address, and I've been playing games with him for 4 years. But since we live so far apart, we are not able to play games with each other every day, or even one time a week. So when you are yelling at your boyfriend who's been playing video games with friends for 3 hours, just remember, he might be talking to his best friend IRL, or people he has been playing games with for years, in addition to not talking to them for maybe a month. Guys will just do settle head nods to each other. Head down is usually don't to a stranger you made eye contact with and are acknowledging them. The head up is to someone you know as either a quick greeting or a subtle acknowledgement without wanting or needing verbal communication. We like our alone time too, with or without being in a relationship. If I'm at work sometimes, I'll just want to unwind on my lunch hour and enjoy some quiet solitude, or at home, there are weekends I don't want to go out and do anything. And if you're in a relationship, us being quiet doesn't always correlate to us being angry or upset. Legitimately, sometimes we're just quiet because we're thinking about fixing something or a new hiking trail or whatever else. As a skinny dude, I don't want you to talk about how skinny I am. I don't know how to respond. I eat over 4,000 calories a day, and I'm working with a trainer 2 days a week, and I'm extremely self-conscious about it. I'm also 30 and can't grow a beard. Put these two things together, and I want to hide. When we say something, we usually mean exactly what we said. Don't read between the lines, because that's most probably not what we meant. Many women don't understand this fundamental guy thing, it seems. What's being said a lot is that we're usually awful at letting ladies know how we feel about them in a romantic sense, and how we feel emotionally at certain times when being asked by women. A secret that comes to mind for me is that some guys are very, very reliant on the emotional support a male friend can give them. I'm saying this just because there seems to be this notion that we are emotionally boxed and are uninterested in letting our emotions show at all. Men are more inclined to spend time by themselves and can be easily more smothered than women. We need time when we get home from work to unwind, and probably time at the end of the day to ourselves to relax. Women, if you're in a relationship, this is probably something he won't bring up. But if he wants time to himself or is going off on his own, let him have it. It's not that he doesn't love you. He just is easily smothered. Source: took a class in college about couples dynamics one time. Blew my mind. It was like the professor was talking about me. Many guys are actually really lacking in confidence, usually due to bad experiences or otherwise. Some just want to feel loved once in a while. Hanging with the guys is great and all, but a genuine hug, or even just a compliment, from someone of the opposite sex can really turn someone's day around. Make them feel wanted. Many of those creepy guys just don't get that interaction often. So when they do, it's mind-blowing and overwhelming. Others, like me, are bitter and jaded by bad experiences, have a hard time trusting anyone. Someone genuine is rare, but too much can be terrifying. Sometimes we just want to vent. Sometimes we want to be held. Or sometimes we just want company. I don't know if this is a guy secret, or just an introvert thing. If I ask for time alone, it usually has nothing to do with you. I just need some recovery time to myself. I can only handle so much socialization in a given week.
Guys are self-conscious too. Balding, gray hair early on, weight, overall appearance, clothing styles, how we look in a bathing suit on the beach. Dad bods blew it. How we think women think of us. How we think other guys think of us, respected, liked, trusted. All these are just some examples. The point is we absolutely care about our image and reputation, it just may not be verbalized. If we don't ask you out, it might not be that we don't like you. Some of us are shy and need you to make the first move. If you insist on the traditional guy asks girl, that's your choice, but you are missing out on some great guys. Locker room talk doesn't really happen. It's just a bunch of guys trying their best to not look at one another while they change as quickly as they can to get out of the awkward situation. And sometimes there is an old dude there letting it all hang out. We actually mean what we say. It's not my favorite restaurant does not magically mean something else, especially not that we hate your favorite place. I was happy to eat there and keep my mouth shut about my opinion, but you just HAAAAD to drag it out. Went to a dinner with my wife's family when we first started dating. Pleasant dinner, if not a bit quiet. I just figured they're not very chatty. After dinner my wife, then GF says, "Can you believe my mom?" Did not see that coming. How could I respond? Just said, "Yeah? What was that all about?" At which point my wife sounded off for like an hour about some invisible to me conversation that had happened with eyebrow raised, sighs and well-placed fork clanks between words in the conversation that I thought was the only one we were having. So, ladies, if your man says some shit was fine, he means just that. Not actually shitty, but I don't want to upset you. Most of the time when you think of us as a friend, we are already in love with you. Please be mindful of how you speak to me. I've dated many women that thinks it's okay to casually make comments about my weight, and yell and curse at me for arbitrary reasons. This shit stings, and no, it doesn't roll off my back just because I'm a guy. Compliment me occasionally and thank me when I do guy stuff, like yard work. Silence isn't a bad thing. When guys unwind, they usually prefer 20 minutes of something that doesn't require verbal communication. Every once in a while, when we are bored, we imagine that something terrible is happening and we save the day like some superhero. We want flowers and rondo cute gifts. Guys are way more desiring of cutesy random romantic shit. One time my ex had some snacks and cocoa and my favorite game loaded up when I got home from work one day. Little shit like that is so meaningful. Also, mad dudes are touch-starved growing up. That contact is super important. Grab our arms, scratch our hair, hand on the knee. That missed contact is so needed. After certain arguments we still think you are wrong, but we apologize just to end whatever stupid thing we are arguing about so we can move on with our lives. We understand women need that to move on and can't drop it without that "I'm sorry you were right" closure. Being an adult guy can be lonely especially if you live far away from where you went to high school or college. It is hard to meaningfully connect with other guys and create new relationships for many reasons. Partly, as someone else referred to, a lot of guy relationships are shared history and starting over is hard. A lot of guy relationships are watching sports or hobbies and operate at a pretty superficial level. Playing for a sports teams can be good, but if you don't have time because say work and family or inclination or injury, that is off the list. So the effort to make a new friend and cultivate it to a point where you are actually close is a lot of work. It often doesn't really fit, and so putting that work in for an unsure outcome often doesn't feel worth it. Women make new friends a lot easier and have more extended groups, so often the pool of options for male friends are often spouses of my wife. Not a deep pool. Being socially isolated has a lot of repercussions that can manifest in a lot of ways. Also, just because we went to the party and had conversation and said we had a good time doesn't mean we felt like we actually connected with anyone or that we feel like the guys we were talking to were good friends. They may be friends, but it is superficial and not sustaining. If we aren't calling or texting or doing independent activities with people away from the group as whole, they aren't good guy friends. The weird thing is you get to a point where it is what it is and you adapt to being lonely because you are fighting a structural problem that you don't have time or resources or incentives to resolve. Please eat for the love of God. We hate it when you don't eat. Please don't make fun of us, joking how we don't fit the typical male stereotypes, but you love us anyway, is probably the most hurtful thing. Additionally, if we show a hobby to you for the first time, "Oh neat, my ex used to do that, he was amazing at it," is soul-crushing in a way that you can't imagine. When I show you a hobby, it's because I want to bring you into a part of my world, not because I want you to relate me to your ex. I really just wanted you to say, "Wow, that's cool." Also, if we drive a rundown car, don't point it out unless we do first. There's a lot of blood, sweat and pride put into keeping that thing running, and we probably love it almost as much as we love you. When working a job where there's only men, things get pretty out of hand. When a woman shows up, it's a real struggle to act civilized, and generally we try to act civilized so we don't get fired. I can't tell you how many times I've been touched inappropriately, and I say that with quotations because it's all fun and games to us. I've been turning a wrench or holding an expensive part and suddenly I feel someone breathing down my neck and touching my nipples. Or the constant banter. I've seen a flight delayed because someone wouldn't stop talking about marrying and screwing a grandma for death money. Like 10 minutes of, "I am gonna grind them hips to dust," or, "Gotta get in on those gum jobs." We constantly push each other to say and do more and more fucked up shit until someone can't handle it. I truly do love it. If a woman starts walking by, we'll all tap each other on the shoulder and give a glance in her direction to let the other guys know that they need to straighten up and fly right until she's gone. It's the same shit we do when our bosses are around. Men are so much stronger than women, and usually much stronger than women perceive. When playing or hugging, we usually limit our strength to avoid hurting you, so chances are most women never experienced full strength. Never ever put yourself in a situation where you need to overpower a man. Guys love for girls to initiate intimacy. I enjoy taking the lead and making the first move the majority of the time. But damn, it's really nice and reassuring when the girl makes the first move and comes onto you. It's a turn off to always have to make the first move. We will lay there for hours at a time playing with our junk in a non-sexual way just for the hell of it. A lot of times, if we aren't paying attention and our hands are empty. Since no one mentioned it, when men go out for a couple of drinks, don't ask them, "So what have you talked about?" and then get mad when we answer, "Nothing." Men can talk about useless and meaningless stuff for hours and then forget about it. So the answer, "Sports and stuff," is not covering anything. That's the truth. If a man really loves you for you, he doesn't care if you're overweight, skinny, sane, mentally ill, have a big ass, small ass, big breasts, small breasts, what your labia looks like, what your face looks like, how many men you've slept with, or women, divorces, exes, whether you have children. If he loves you, he accepts you for who the hell you are and he loves you. If a man works on trying to change something, i.e., you'd look so much hotter with implants, or, what would it cost for a dermatologist to remove that skin tag? He's a superficial prick and he's trying to fix a model until he can upgrade. That's the type of dude he is. When the upgrade comes along, he'll break your heart. That really great looking, flashy, seemingly well-off guy that looks like he could take care of you, his words, and be a good lay? He's probably not gonna be either. Introverts, roughnecks, pipe fitters, and blue-collar guys can be just as good to you and just as accepting and will work often just as hard as the rich guy to make you happy. The above should be no secret, but it should be said. Men are 100 times more emotional than women, so when we're talking about our feelings, don't make fun of us. We bottle that shit up a lot of the time because it's something we're sensitive about. When guys get together, they typically discuss how blessed they are to have the partners they're with and dole endless and well-deserved praise on them. Guys also talk about how bad they feel about leaving the toilet seats up out of habit, but then we all get together and shed tears over how lucky we all are that we have our partners to help correct us on our inadequacies. Also, men play video games because they want their girls to have well-deserved me time. When we hang out with our guy friends, we are usually doing the complete opposite of what you're thinking. Like instead of going to the bar, we went to a friend's house and talked about whose dog would win if they could drive. If we say we don't know what we did wrong, we genuinely don't know. Please just tell us.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell for more Reddit stories. If you want more stories, head over to the first link in the description for our Reddit story playlist. We'll see you next time.